If you are struggling with chronic fatigue syndrome and you're having lots of ups and downs and you go 2 steps forwards and then 4 steps all the way back, and you just feel like you're not on an upward trajectory with your recovery, in this video, we're going to break down the reasons why recovery isn't linear. And we're going to show you a roadmap instead of what to focus on when life and recovery derails you from the progress that you want. Welcome, Ash Ward, to today's video.
Thanks.
We're going to talk about why recovery isn't linear. And this is a big problem that we see with our clients. You know, we've worked with thousands of people for the last 15 years in over 67 countries now. And one of the biggest problems that I see is this wish that recovery was linear. And almost this thinking and it could be a perfectionistic thinking tendency of like, recovery and life should be perfect. And particularly once I get better, life should be perfect. So we'll break this down for you today because Ash has a wealth of experience too. You know, she's directly working with our members as the general manager of CFS Health. And so I'm going to throw it to you straight away. First and foremost, why do you think recovery isn't linear?
Because not one person is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if there was one way and a roadmap that could be given to everybody, well, wouldn't that be easy? But it just doesn't exist. I think people have life gets in the way, there's different things playing out for people, and so you can't then expect it just to be one all the way up trajectory, hearing the knowledge and voila, it's just going to be fixed. Like, it just is more nuanced than that. It's certainly more comprehensive, especially when you're dealing with health and people, and everyone's completely different. So I think it's very natural as a human to almost assume there's one way for every way for healing. But I think that's what stops it being linear, or once you implement things, it's all the way up with no bumps in the road. Because when it's health and it's life, there's always going to be ups and downs. There's going to be, life does get in the way. And then it's reevaluating health then and making adjustments that are suitable to that situation. You can still be making progress always, because progress can look like so many different things, and progress doesn't always just mean doing either. Progress can also be, doing what's appropriate. We can talk about that another time, but I think there can always be progress, but that's not necessarily or ever going to be linear, straightforward.
Yeah. The way that you're talking about it, I kind of look at it as a recovery as a puzzle, the whole puzzle piece. And so there's different pieces to the puzzle. And part of the puzzles, some of the pieces are things like learning, unlearning, and, applying and then reevaluating and experimenting. So when we're experimenting, like, experiments don't always go to plan, right? Like, they don't always go to the way that we thought they were going to be or the way that we expected them to be. And that can cause confusion and doubt, but at the same time, it's actually part of the whole process journey to get what you want. So you've got to learn, apply, experiment, reapply, reevaluate,
Actually working, what's not working. And I think that's where there can be some, there has to be brutal honesty with the person going through the journey, because there has to be an evaluation of what's happening and being like, is this actually helping? Or is this not helping? Is this habit helping? Is this not helping? Is this approach helping? Is it not? There has to be like constant evaluation of what is working and what isn't. What do I continue doing? What do I need to stop? Where do I need to pivot?
I would add on to that as well. The lack of consistency over a long period of time is also another reason why your recovery might be stalling. And we see that often, like someone new will come into the program and they'll be like so excited. And, the first month they're like, they get a couple of wins and they're like, oh, this is great. Like, and I'm going to be recovered in 6 months' time. And they kind of like set themselves up to fail almost. And it's like this idea that, just because you're doing it for a week or a month doesn't mean you deserve the results that you want on the other side of that. It's kind of like a weight loss journey. Like, if you've got 20 kilos to lose, you're not going to lose it in 5 weeks or 6 weeks, right? And so you don't just get to the 6-week mark and go, well, it didn't work. I tried it, but it didn't work. And it's like, no, like you have to consistently, repeatedly stick at the things that actually work, but over time to get the results that you want. So I also think another reason why recovery isn't linear is because there is a consistent piece that might be lacking in one's daily routine and schedule over a long period of time. Not 2 weeks, not 4 weeks, but like, minimum 2 to 3 months at a time to really get the brain and the body to adapt appropriately to the stimulus. So then the stimulus, responds appropriately back. And that just can't happen over a week or a couple of weeks. And this is where people start to lose hope because they haven't been given the right plan, and then they just go around in circles for years and years and years as well.
Anything that's worth working towards, or anything that anyone is working towards, takes time.
Anything great. Yeah.
But even a new job, you don't just walk into a new job and know everything that's happening straight away. Like, you're working consistently on getting to a place of understanding that job, whether you're training for a marathon, whether you're flying on a plane like, there's just so many. Life just requires
Driving, learning how to drive,
learning how to drive,
learning how to walk when you're a baby.
everything. There's nothing great in life that we as humans do that doesn't take consistency.
Well, I was just thinking, like, I think one of the other roadblocks that people have, like, knowing now the recovery journey isn't linear and there's peaks and troughs and peaks and troughs. You liken it to when a baby starts to try and walk for the first time. Because a lot of people, when they're not getting progress in their recovery, they think they're failing. And this is the biggest burden that a lot of people go through, where you start beating yourself up. Like, you're like, I'm not worthy of this. Like, I'm not good enough. Like, this isn't working for me. Nothing works for me. And so you start to create this narrative. And that can then prolong the recovery journey even more, right? You build a bigger trough, you dig a deeper hole that then you've got to get out of on top of the recovery stuff. So what if that we swipe that clean and we likened it to a baby who was trying to walk for the first time? When the baby stands up and then the baby tries to take its first step and then it falls over. Hopefully it falls over okay and it doesn't hurt itself. It's kind of funny because they don't look at it and go, oh, I'm a failure. Their parents don't either. Their parents aren't like, oh, you're...
Well, you don't yell at that child of like, get up.
Yeah.
You don't, it's like, it's okay. Like, do it
Yeah,
again.
let's try again. Let's try again.
You never, you don't see yelling, sort of sloppy beat, and that is falling over when they're trying to walk. And so when you can reflect that back into your own journey of recovery, of like not beating yourself up just because you're not getting it straight away, or it's not taking as quick as you would like, or you're not getting further along that you thought that you would, or things that you're learning aren't sticking straight away. Like, we need to bring grace into it, because for many people, recovery is, like you said at the start, Toby, unlearning lots of things and relearning things. And so we certainly can't have the expectation that we're just going to hear something once and then we've changed, patterns that we've been doing for a long time. It's an unlearning process, which takes obviously a lot of patience and grace and consistency.
Yep. And then lastly, you have to just factor in general health. So, sleep isn't going to be perfect all the time. Your baseline isn't going to be perfect all the time, particularly if you've got kids or, you've got external circumstances that you can't control all the time. Your nutrition might not be perfect all the time. Your gut health might not be great. Sometimes your immune system is obviously lowered, particularly if you're in stage 1 and 2 of recovery. And so that also means that you're more susceptible to getting colds and flus, which means that that's also got to be factored in for. So you're not failing if you're going backwards. You're not failing if you're getting a cold or a flu. In fact, sometimes we use those as indicators as progress. So as people start to get better, they actually respond faster to overcoming their colds and flus quicker. Their immune system response is better. And so that's actually progress. And so we measure that too. So don't always see these things as hindrance, as they're in the way. As Tony Robbins says, it's not in the way, it's on the way. This is helping me get on the way. And so I think the biggest takeaway from this video is to not dig the hole deeper than it needs to be dug, in the sense of when you're going backwards or when things aren't going to plan, no need to add unnecessary suffering to the suffering that you're already experiencing. And the sooner you can catch yourself in those moments where you're about to put yourself down, and, imagine this, like Ash said, yelling at the baby because it fell over for the first time trying to walk, treat yourself like you'd treat your baby, and you would never speak to your baby like that when it's trying to learn how to walk for the first time, right? And so, just be like, okay, it's not going exactly how I want it right now. What can I do to help myself get out of this? And that's one of the fastest ways you can dig yourself out of that little blip in the road, that speed bump, so you can kind of move forwards. And the bigger the deal you make of it, the bigger the deal it will become. And also that is another hole that you can avoid. And again, what we do want to see though is this constant tier on the upward trajectory. Now that doesn't mean that it's like a straight line. It doesn't mean there's not little bumps in the road, but if we zoom out for 1 to 3 to 6 to 9 to 12, 15 months, we want to see this kind of swirly line on the upward trajectory. Now, if that's happening, we're on the right track. Now, obviously, it can be sped up if you're getting actual professional help and step-by-step help. If you're doing this on your own, you still want to be able to zoom out and go, am I on the upward trajectory? If you're not, you obviously need to reevaluate and look at the health fundamentals and check in on where you're going wrong, because there's you don't just go backwards for no reason, right? There's always a reason behind what's going on. And so you want to figure out, well, what am I doing that's causing me to go on the downward spiral? And what can I do to stop that, stabilize, and then move towards where you want to go?
One thing that's just come to mind, which is something that's very common, and also it's something that I love to see when I see it inside our program. But what we'll often see is when we have new members join the mentorship, there's quite often, very normal, very common, of course, understandable, to feel frustration. Like, it's not working for me. Like, I've been implementing this stuff, I've been doing this, I have been consistent, and like I've had another setback or I've had another crash. Like, why there's just frustration, right? And what I love is that person will continue to be consistent. And I love seeing then the posts from the same person being like
6 months later.
6 months later, hey everyone, I just wanted to say this was my journey. At the beginning, I was just like, I didn't actually think it was possible for me. And right now I'm doing this, and this. Oh my God, recovery is possible, da 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 da. And I just want to share my journey with you because I was there and I didn't think I could do it, but this is what I've done.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me, but I love seeing it because we have people coming into our mentorship program all the time, and it's quite often to feel like it's very normal and common to feel that frustration period. But then I love seeing those same members month down the track who never thought it was actually, they were looking for that linear, right? They were thinking, why am I not seeing this just like upwards trajectory? I'm here, I'm implementing, I've only been here a shorter period of time, but why? And everyone's journey is a different time frame.
Yeah.
But then they come back posting with the purpose of sharing hope to others because they're like, I know how that felt. And oh my God, I've been consistent. And it actually does work.
It does work.
It's like this, they all have this light bulb moment of like, oh my God, okay.
Yeah. And it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And I think that's probably stems back from this internal pressure to recover faster. So, it's that overcompensation piece of like, if you've been struggling for so long or you're just over it, probably know what I'm talking about, where you're just sick of it, you want it done. How can I just get better as fast as possible? And so there's this already internal overcompensation of pressure. And so the way in which you go about it when you're feeling like there's pressure, internal pressure, and you're overcompensating, it doesn't feel nice. It feels quite yuck and off and stressful. And obviously, that doesn't lead to anything that useful for your well-being. And so I think, like Ash is saying, there is this unlearning period. Like you learn, you apply, you learn the wrong way, you go, this isn't the way, the road says go back this way, wrong way. And then you start to realize 3-6 months later, it's like, no, it's not what I was doing. It was how I was going about it, and I think that makes a big, big difference, Yeah. Anything to add?
No, I think it's just starting to know that it's a puzzle, and every person's puzzle looks completely different. Like there is, even though it might be a puzzle, the puzzle isn't the same for everybody.
Yeah. Well, different things are required at different times, depending on the stage of recovery.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one thing, is like, it's not linear. It's lots of pieces put together to add up to a whole, but also that's not the same as everybody. It's an individual journey. There's certainly, the certain trainings and ways of doing things that align.
Yes.
That everyone does the same way.
The process of recovery is the same for everyone, in the sense of the frameworks that you follow to get from suffering with chronic fatigue syndrome to recovered, right? but how you do it and what you need is dependent on the actual individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, bang on. Yeah. My last thoughts for you at home is my invitation to you is just see where the blind spots are, because this is something that if you're not getting coaching right now, or you're not getting help, it's hard to see what you're not aware of, right? Because you're just on your own. What is it? The forest from the trees. You can't see the forest from the trees, or the trees from the forest. Which one is it? You don't even know.
You said it the wrong way around now for so many times. I don't really know which part one could.
Well, my sayings are usually the same, like they're right, but they're wrong. I say it the wrong way around. Anyway, you can't see the forest from the trees or the trees from the forest. Um, and so my invitation for you at home is to get a piece of pen and paper out and go through your different areas of your life, what you're doing right now on a day-to-day basis, and look at what's working, what's not working. Do a quick audit. When you do a quick audit, you figure out, I could improve this or I can improve that. Now, if you're unsure about any of this, you need help, right? Reach out to someone who you resonate with, whether it's us or somebody else who's offering something useful for your recovery, and actually get a plan. Because ultimately, like, one of the biggest things we do initially is to do a self-help evaluation assessment on all the key areas of recovery. Once we figure out your scorecard, then we can create a plan, and it just makes total sense. It's like, it's easy to follow because, all right, this is my problem, this is my solution. If this video is helpful, we'd love you to leave a like, and we'd love you to comment below what was your biggest takeaway from this video today. Thinking of you right now, go and apply this, and we'll see you in the next video soon. Thanks, Ash.
No worries.